Welcome back, curious minds. Today, we're diving into a chilling tale that gripped the nation, the harrowing story of the 2002 DC sniper attacks. A terrifying spree that left communities on edge. We'll uncover the shocking details of how two individuals struck fear into the hearts of millions. Buckle up, because this is a story you won't want to miss. People were killed by a single bullet fired from a distance in all of the shootings. The killers struck and then disappeared. This pattern wasn't found until after the killings on October 3. As soon as people in the area heard about the killings, fear spread quickly. Charles Moose, the police chief for Montgomery County, told parents at a press conference that schools were on a code blue warning and that kids should stay inside to keep the schools safe. Many parents picked up their kids early, so they couldn't take the school bus or walk home. There was no break or outdoor PE classes at public or private schools in Montgomery County, the District of Columbia, or the United States. As a safety measure, other school districts also kept their children inside. When the shootings happened, police from nearby states joined the investigation thanks to tips they got over the phone. Police only had a few pieces of proof to work with. One of the first reports said that right after the attack in Silver Spring, someone heard a popping sound and saw a white box truck quickly leave the scene. Following the murder in Washington, DC people started telling police that they had seen a blue Chevrolet Caprice instead of a white box truck. At first, the cops thought that all of the killings were done with a .223 caliber rifle. At this point, Malvo and Muhammad began shooting in a more extensive area and waiting 2 or 3 days between each shot. With 7 different shooting victims, 6 of whom died in the first 15 hours of the DC area spree, the North American media soon gave it a lot of attention. By the middle of October 2002, all news networks were showing live coverage of the attacks, which often went on for hours. The Fox show America's Most Wanted spent an entire episode talking about the attackers to help catch them. In a strange way, the snipers themselves were the ones who broke the case. 2 women were killed when a liquor store in Montgomery, Alabama, was robbed a month earlier, according to a caller who said they were the shooter. The caller made the claim on October 17 as a detective tease. The call was traced to a payphone at a Henrico County, Virginia gas stop. Police missed the suspects by a few minutes and first detained people in a van at a different payphone at the same crossroads. Investigators quickly found out that a crime similar to the one mentioned in the call had actually happened and that fingerprints and ballistic evidence were available from it. A worker from the office in Mobile, Alabama, quickly flew to Washington, D.C. and got there Monday evening, October 21. The bomb evidence was taken care of by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. A TF and the DNA evidence was sent to the FBI's lab. The next morning, the fingerprint database found a match. Lee Boyd Malvo's fingerprints were found on a magazine that had been dropped at the scene of the crime. Malvo had been arrested in Washington state before. They had a suspect now. The police record, which was named John Allen Muhammad, was another important clue. One FBI agent in Tacoma, Washington, knew the name from a tip about the case that was called into that office. There was now a second suspect. Together with the TF officials, the FBI found that Muhammad was in possession of a Bushmaster .223 rifle, which is against the law because he has a restraining order against his ex-wife. That let the police charge him with breaking federal laws about guns. The FBI and a TF worked together to get Malvo's federal material witness warrant because he was clearly linked to the case. They only needed to catch them now. During this time, Malvo and Muhammad were silent for 5 days before they attacked again. Jeff Hopper was shot in a parking lot near the Ponderosa Steakhouse on October 19 at 8 p.m. This happened on State Route 54 in Ashland, Virginia, which is close to Interstate 95. People nearby heard his wife Stephanie calling for help, and they called for an ambulance, which helped Hopper survive his injuries. In the woods, police found a 4-page letter from the shooter that threatened children and asked for $10 million. At 5:56 a.m. on October 22, 35-year-old ride-on bus driver Conrad Johnson was shot while sitting on the steps in the Maryland town of Aspen Hill in the 14,100 block of Grand Prix Road. Johnson died from his wounds. Chief Moose released part of one of the shooter's letters on the same day. It said, "Your children are not safe anywhere, at any time." The FBI searched their crime records database that same day and found that Muhammad had registered a blue Chevy Caprice in New Jersey with the license plate NDA21Z. That story was told to the news sources and spread all over the world. Even though there were no killings on October 23, the day was important for two reasons. First, ballistics experts confirmed Johnson as the 10th fatality in the Beltway killings. Second, police used metal detectors to look in a yard in Tacoma Park, Maryland, for bullets, gun casings, and other items that might lead them to the shooters. A tree stump that was thought to have been used for target practice was taken away. The Montgomery County, Maryland Police Department, led by Chief Charles Moose, was in charge of the case. The FBI and many other law enforcement agencies helped out. Through a federal law on serial killings, Chief Moose had directly asked the FBI to help him. Within a few days, the FBI had 400 agents from all over the country working on the case. They set up a toll-free number for people to call with tips, and teams of new agents in training helped answer it. As the crime scenes changed, experts were asked to make digital maps of many of them, and behavioral analysts helped detectives make a profile of the shooter. They also set up a joint operations center to help the police in Montgomery County with the case. It was around 11:45 p.m. At a rest stop off of I-70 in Maryland on October 23, the shooter's dark blue 1990 Chevy Caprice with a New Jersey license plate was seen. Within an hour, a lot of police arrived and set up a perimeter to watch for any moves and make sure no one could get away. It wasn't long before the search for the snipers was over on October 24. John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo were caught without a fight by a group of Maryland State Police, Montgomery County SWAT officers, and FBI hostage rescue team agents. 911 calls from people at the rest stop told the police what was going on. Charles Moose, the police chief of Montgomery County, had sent the shooter this coded message 4 hours before. "You have told us what to do and say. You told us to say, we caught the sniper like a duck in a noose. We know that this is important to you." The media were asked by Moose to carry the message accurately and often. This may have been a reference to a Cherokee story. The FBI and other police departments found revealing and shocking proof. There was a hole cut in the trunk of the car near the license plate so that shots could be fired from inside. As it turned out, it was a moving sniper's nest. Muhammad's car had a bag in it that had a stolen Bushmaster, .223 caliber gun, and one of those things. Later, tests of the recovered rifle's bullets proved that it was used in 11 of the 14 shootings, including one where no one was hurt. The car also had a digital voice recorder that Malvo and Muhammad used to demand money, a laptop that had been stolen from one of the victims, and maps of the shooting scenes and escape routes from some of the crime scenes, as well as other maps and walkie-talkies. Investigators and the prosecution said during pre-trial motions that Muhammad may have planned to kill Mildred, his second ex-wife, because he thought she had cut him off from his children. This idea says that the other killings were done to hide the real reason for the crime. Muhammad thought that the police wouldn't look at his separated ex-husband as a possible suspect if Mildred seemed like a random victim of a serial killer. During the killings, Muhammad often went to the area where she lived, and some things happened there. Besides that, he had made threats against her before. Mildred herself said that she was his goal, and that when the police first came up to her, one of them said, "Mrs. Muhammad, did not you know that you were being watched?" However, Judge Leroy F. Millett Jr. told the prosecutors that they could not bring up that idea during the trial because a strong link had not been proven. Defense lawyers asked for a change of venue, and it was given. The first trials took place in the cities of Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, which are separate from each other and are in southeastern Virginia, more than 100 miles from the closest alleged attack. Muhammad and Malvo were both found guilty of murder and weapons charges in the fall of 2003 in Virginia, where two of the victims were present. In Muhammad's case, the jury said that he should be put to death, but in Malvo's case, they said that he should be sentenced to life in jail without the chance of parole instead. In both cases, the courts agreed. The Virginia Supreme Court gave Muhammad the death punishment on April 22, 2005. The court said that he could be put to death because the murder was part of a terrorist act. This was based on the scribbled note that asked for $10 million. Defense lawyers said that Muhammad couldn't be put to death because he wasn't the one who killed the people. The court didn't agree with them. Circuit Court Judge Mary Grace O'Brien put Muhammad's execution date in November on September 16, 2009. The lawyers for him asked the U.S. Supreme Court to stop his execution, but they said no. They also asked Governor Tim Kaine of Virginia for forgiveness, but he refused. Muhammad was put to death on November 10, 2009, by fatal injection at the Greensville Correctional Center in Jarrett, Virginia. The killing began at 9:06 p.m. EST, and Muhammad died 5 minutes after that. Malvo admitted to killing other people in other states while being questioned and testifying against Muhammad in Maryland. He pleaded guilty to 6 deaths. After being found guilty, Malvo was given 6 straight life sentences with no chance of parole. In 2017, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit overturned Malvo's 3 life terms in Virginia. He was ordered to be sent to prison again because the 8th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says that juvenile offenders should not be sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole. A law in Virginia was passed on February 25, 2020, that lets people serving life sentences for crimes committed before they turned 18 asked to be released after 20 years. However, the U.S. Supreme Court case was dismissed at the request of lawyers on both sides. In the end, Malvo was given 10 consecutive life sentences without the chance of parole. These sentences were later changed to life sentences with the option of parole. What are your thoughts on the DC sniper attacks? Do you think Muhammad and Malvo's motives were as true as they seemed, or were there deeper, darker intentions at play? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you found it insightful. For more intriguing stories and mysteries, be sure to subscribe to our channel.